Hello, and welcome to another update video about Ethereum. Ethereum hasn't really moved much yesterday, and it's just range bound. So we are moving in a pattern that is, basically bound by these trend lines, or we are at least in something that looks like it could be an Elliott wave triangle, which is the purple wave count. Definitely something I find more and more likely. Not necessarily that it has to play out like that, but it is a reasonable interpretation given that the price has only been moving really in corrective price structures up and down here. This is the first time that we have a possible 5-wave move up, but it's not complete yet. So I could still call that easily a 3-wave move up, this move up from the 5th of July low. And the pattern resembles really, I don't know if you follow also the Solana updates, but it resembles really that Solana chart on which I'm also tracking a 4th wave. Okay, so we have here and a triangle. So we have here an A wave, a B wave, a C wave, a D wave, and if the next pullback is deep but forms a higher low, it doesn't even need to be deep. That's the problem with these triangles. They there is not really a minimum requirement for an E wave. And the only maximum really that there is that it shouldn't, that E wave shouldn't break below the 5th of July low, which was located at $2,810. So as long as that level is holding, the purple scenario, not the perfect scenario, the purple scenario is is relevant. And this means we can call that a wave 4 in a triangle as long as we stay above that level. But that's only one interpretation. It doesn't even mean that the E wave needs to come down that much. It could be rather shallow. But most importantly, it's a bullish update. It's a bullish scenario, a bullish analysis. Now, this is for now only an alternative, the triangle, but it looks quite good and I find it more and more likely. It will depend on how the next pullback looks like. There is another scenario in which we are actually already in the 5th wave. It's not much different from the triangle in practice. It would also require the price to stay above the 5th of July low. Here in this scenario, we're working currently on a first 5-wave move up, which would be probably wave 1 of 5. The ETH chart is more difficult to track on the micro level because it is moving in much more corrective structures than Bitcoin. Reason is that we're dealing with a massive diagonal pattern probably, okay? Talked about that before. This chart is moving only in ABC structures. So the 3rd wave, for example, is also an A, B, C. And essentially what that means is that the micro patterns are likely going to change a lot, and because we're dealing only with corrective structures in the subwaves. That's just very important to understand. And it means don't be too focused on the micro patterns, okay? Maybe zoom out, take a look at the bigger picture, consider the larger degree levels, consider what's reliable on this chart. And here this larger support zone acted as support now since April. So the price reacted in July again. These are the more reliable time frames. Obviously on the smallest time frames, you get a lot of chaotic movement at the moment on the ETH chart. Doesn't look particularly great here. But also here we can identify some structures. So let me take you through that. It's all about, can we identify now a proper 5-wave move up? But even if we only see 3 waves up, it could just be the D wave of the triangle. At the moment, I don't call that a reliable 5-wave move up yet. I would start to call it, it already looks a bit like that, but it's not yet reached the minimum targets, based on micro patterns here. I'd really like it to reach 3,660 to call it a 5-wave move. If we now go down, then I would consider the E wave of the triangle to be in play as per the purple scenario. In the very short term, this is just range bound, as you can see here from the 15th of July low, sort of here, 16th of July low. We've just been moving sideways, and I've added another micro support area today. The idea is that we could be still in the 4th wave. So from that low on the 5th of July, we might have completed 3 waves up. That's the yellow count and the white count. It's just that in the yellow count, we already completed wave 4, which is something that is reasonable to assume, but there are other interpretations because of the chaotic movement here. I'm leaning towards the fourth wave being completed because that's what I'm leaning to on the Bitcoin chart as well. But the 3,405 level should really hold for that. So that's the level below which I will assume we might still be in the fourth wave, or maybe that triangle is playing out. So we need to be flexible. As you can see, in the very short term, this is a micro support region, which, as long as it's holding, allows for further upside extensions. Next resistance in the region between 3,561 and 3,577. Breaking above it should send the price to 3,660 ideally. Yeah, this is what I'm watching. But overall, just range-bound movement. I mean, it is. I even argue, on these levels, I mean, there's nothing impulsive here. It's just chaotic sideways action. We just need to see if the market can push above the next pivot, and then we can focus on this target area. And here, ideally, we see a reaction and the start of a move down, at least a larger pullback of sorts. We already see on different time frames here. I need to go to probably the 4-hour chart. We already see bearish divergences. So there is a chance that we are starting a larger pullback soon. But because of the overall pattern, for example, the triangle, or the idea that the move up here could be a wave 5, I'm watching primarily for corrective pullbacks and the size of the rally. It's just not clearly 5 waves yet, so it's not high confidence that we've bottomed already, but Bitcoin probably has bottomed on the 5th of July. So I'd argue that ETH probably has as well, but then we need to consider other patterns like triangles, ending diagonals in circle wave 5 and so on. So there is a lot to think about on the ETH chart. So it's not the clearest chart in my view to trade short term. I find the Bitcoin chart much clearer. Bear in mind, charts are not always super clear, but that's normal. I mean, in fourth waves, you don't always get that clarity. It just means we have to be on the side of caution. But the levels should be clear. The levels we're tracking, but frequent adjustments are probably necessary, at least on the micro level. But you have your targets, micro support, next pivot, next resistance. So I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.